Ooh, ha, 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 ha. Ho, ho.
Wow.
Boo. We are here for the spooky episode.
Okay.
So,
the spooky.
yeah, so they have these. I know that they're all out there waiting for this. So there's a high expectation. So I hope we bring it home.
Oh, we'll bring it home, all right.
You're positive.
Oh, yeah.
Because I have no idea what you got there in your ammunition.
Oh, that's, that's kind of how the show works here.
It's exactly how this show works.
Wow. Okay.
So, hi, everyone. And
hello.
Welcome to Spooky. When is, today is what's the date today? The 20, it's like the 21st, isn't it?
It's the 19th.
19th. So we really have another week and a half or whatever till we get to Halloween.
Yeah. What's up with all the holiday stuff being everywhere?
Oh my
Let's
gosh,
focus on Halloween.
Yeah.
Because it's my favorite. Okay.
Well, they're skipping like fall festive Thanksgiving stuff too. Like,
look at the grocery store. All the holiday shit's out.
It's literally all Christmas.
Like what? No. I think pretty soon, the holidays are going to move up a couple months. Halloween's going to be in June. All these things, it feels like, why do we prep so
It's all
quickly?
global.
It's so
global.
early.
It's all global warming.
Valentine's Day is going to be in December. It just, what's going on?
Yeah.
Because we're melting.
But hey, we're spooky. We're festive. We're in theme. We're not doing this early holiday stuff.
No.
So
I like your astronaut.
thank you. Yes. Do you see Morgan?
Morgan's a skeleton. She's just down to
And we
down
all
to
got-
bones.
we all-
no skin, just bones.
Mm-hmm.
And the socks? How about the socks?
Socks are good. We all have our socks. This is very good.
We got these as a gift at a show.
You did.
Yes.
So let's dig in.
Can you do your best spooky laugh? It was like a mix between that and Santa a little bit.
Yeah, I didn't.
Wasn't so much of the
like-
ooh, ooh, ooh.
I feel like you have more. I feel like there's more in there.
That's
Try
it.
to round it out like ooh.
Let's see what else you got. There's definitely more in there.
Well, when it comes out, we'll let it come out and then we'll splice it in.
Hmm.
And if it doesn't come, doesn't arrive,
You're not going to get hired as an actor anywhere.
Mm.
You just lost your shot.
Okay. Let's go. Dig in.
Okay, so this isn't story one. This is going to be a comment that someone put in the form, and I thought it was, good to mention here.
Okay. It's a pre-one.
Yeah, like 0.
Okay.
Hi, Jerry, Justin, Morgan, and everyone who listens. I am an attorney currently volunteering in DV. I heard this story today about the mom with the angry partner and felt so compelled that I stopped my run to send this message. And I guess anyone else who might be listening who is going through something similar. My biggest message from working in this area is that even when things seem so stacked against you, you can leave and you will find a way. I have seen women in impossible circumstances, immigrants, young children, disabled children, no support system, and maybe a combination of the above. I have seen these women find a way and escape their abusers. There are so many resources that are out there that can help. You just might not realize it. Reach out to your local shelter if you feel in danger to see what's available locally. Even if there aren't those supports, there are things like dividing debt, child support, and temporary spousal support that could help. Please go seek assistance, if not for you, for your children, because little ears hear way more than we know, and it sits with them forever.
Yes. Thank you so much for that writing. That was perfect. And Justin, good find.
Yeah, I think that's so important. We've had a couple episodes before this spooky one, taking effort and family drama and just a bunch lately where we've had at least one story about someone who needs to leave a toxic partner or situation. And this is an amazing message because even when you feel it's impossible, it's not.
Yeah.
So.
And it's amazing. Everyone here knows, our readers know, we all know that person's got to get out. You just can't look for the excuse to stay. You just leave. You got to go find that. Even if you go to a church with your children, do something to get out. so you're not subject to that exposure and that possible.
Yeah. And, we've said it can take 7 attempts to leave. It can be very difficult to leave. You might not even realize, the type of relationship you're in yet. I keep recommending on my show, there's a quiz on loveisrespect.org. And it kind of tells you, based on a bunch of questions they ask, how healthy your relationship is. And it's an amazing website that I think no matter how great you think your life is or your relationship, take the quiz.
Okay.
Okay, let's get into these spooky.
Okay.
Okay, better. Definitely better.
Number one.
Back in 2022, I moved back to my hometown after living across the country for 2 years. I, now 27, was living on my own with my 2 children, now 4 and 2, in a rental home. Moving back home was a necessity, and I was happy to do so. I love being near my family. The only downside, something else was living in my home. From the first day I moved in, I felt uncomfortable. I would get this feeling like someone was in the house with me. My back and stomach would hurt when I could feel this thing around. It even affected my children. They absolutely despised their room. They would cry when it was bedtime, and every single night at 3 a.m., they would wake up. It wasn't a light, "Mama, I'm awake," wake up. It was screaming and crying. I finally brought up how uncomfortable I felt in my home to my boyfriend. He ended up telling me how he also had been feeling something in the house and even seeing a large shadow figure in the house that was almost playing hide and seek with him.
Nope. Chills. We out. We running.
I was shocked to know he was seeing and feeling something too. He told me how he thought it was just a playful spirit, as it never really bothered me when he was at my house. However, things got intense and uncomfortable. I started having nightmares, usually only when my boyfriend wasn't staying the night. It would consist of the shadow figure standing in the corner of my room, me feeling absolutely terrified, reaching for my phone to call my boyfriend, and before I would press the call button, the figure would lunge at me. Everything would go dark, and I would wake up again with him standing in the same place as before. These nightmares would go on all night long. Even when I would wake up to bring my kids to my room, as soon as I was asleep, it would start again. This started a pattern of me cleansing the house, demanding whatever it was to leave me and my children alone. I ended up wanting my boyfriend there constantly, as it wouldn't bother us while he was there. That was until a speak and spell my girls were gifted that had no batteries would randomly go off. Only 3 to 4 times an hour max while he was there. While he was gone, it would go off up to 100 times an hour. It would go off when you asked for it as well. If I told it to stop, it would. Worst of all was one night while he was staying over, I had gone to bed early. I was dreaming my boyfriend was in the living room and I was in bed relaxing. The shadow figure crawls through my window and tells me to be quiet. I try to scream for help and it covers my mouth and holds me down. Again, this repeats over and over again until my boyfriend comes to bed. I eventually just ended up moving. I have had no issues like this since.
Holy shit. What does a speak and spell look like?
It looks like a little like a hand
crazy.
radio.
Yeah, it's an interesting shape. It almost reminds me of like an Etch-a-Sketch, but like a keyboard instead of...
And with a handle.
And it's got like a little handle at the top.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's terrifying. Especially the fact that it had no batteries in it. Like, energy. There was definitely some energy in that house.
Kinetic energy. Is that called kinetic energy? What is that?
No, kinetic energy is when you go on roller coasters and it propels you through the next curve based on momentum it already had.
So what kind of energy is this?
Paranormal
Something
energy.
not good energy.
Paranormal energy. Pumpkin down. That's wild. I wonder what it was about the boyfriend too and that presence.
And just the fact that every night you'd go to bed and the same thing over and over and over.
Well, and it's like nothing's happened since. Like I would be like, okay, it sounds, sleep paralysis, but it hasn't happened since moving.
Well, the boyfriend saw it too.
That's what's crazy. I
Mhm.
literally get chills every time we bring that up. Like a shadow figure playing hide and seek with you? No. Mm-mm. I wonder if it was a woman spirit and it was like jealous of our writer.
Mm.
And so that's why it was more behaved when the boyfriend was there, because it had a crush on him or something. Just something so weird. You know, it sounds crazy when I say it out
Well,
loud.
no,
but
it's hard
you know
to
what I
make
mean?
sense of any of it.
Yeah.
Like you try to rationalize and think through it, but I don't know. I also the playful hide and seek. I don't know. He just thought it was a playful spirit, so he didn't bring it up.
Crazy.
Who does that? Who's just like, yeah, play hide and seek with this shadow figure. Cool.
I'd be like, hey, babe, I'm not coming to your house anymore. Bring your kids. Come over to my place. Wow.
Crazy.
Off
is
to a good
interesting.
start. Yeah. Okay. Number 2.
Let's go to number 2.
Number 2. I, 23 female, and my fiance, 23 male, were apartment hunting. At this point in time, we had been looking at many apartments over a long period of time. I felt kind of defeated at this point, but then I found a really promising ad for an apartment in our town. It was huge and cheap, which is rare. I was so excited. We booked a viewing of the place through the phone. The guy who was renting it out lived 10 hours away by car. This made me kind of happier because it took the pressure off. We got to view the apartment just the two of us, was my line of thinking. I ended up inviting my sister and her husband along as well, though. So the day arrives and we are driving out to see the place. Me and my fiance arrived 30 minutes or so before my sister and her husband. They had other stuff going on that day. We go in and start looking, and we are already pretty sure that this is it. It was just perfect.
For the three of you. You, your husband, and the ghost. Come on. It's like a movie. I know I know what's coming.
I was in one of the bedrooms by myself and I got a super weird feeling. I was so uncomfortable. It felt like something was sitting on my chest. It's really hard to put into words what I was feeling, but it was like really heavy sadness and then just pure terror. I was so confused and had started sobbing at this point. I had never felt something like this before. I started screaming for my fiance. He was super confused when he saw me freaking out. I mean, wouldn't anyone? So he tried to calm me down, but I had to get the hell out of that place. My sister hadn't even arrived yet at this point, so we ended up walking down onto the street because I couldn't even stand being outside the front door. We had to get further away than that. I called my mother. I didn't really know what to do. I was so confused. So, some context. Both me and my mother are skeptical when it comes to supernatural stuff.
Not anymore.
I've never seen anything, heard anything, and I don't think I will believe in ghosts, spirits, etc. until I get hard evidence. My sister and my father, on the other hand, claim to have seen some shit. I obviously believe they have been through something, but ghosts, spirits, that's not something you just naturally believe in just from hearing a story. My mother knows that my sister and father believe in this stuff, and I could find an explanation to the feeling I was getting in that place. She told me to wait for my sister. She claims to be kind of sensitive to these things, not to say anything, and just see how it goes when she comes to view the place. I tried to compose myself and get my shit together. I had to go back in, but I'm not gonna lie, that kind of terrified me. But surely, there had to be some kind of explanation. My sister arrives and we go back into the apartment. I had already told my fiance that he isn't leaving my side because I'm not going anywhere in there alone. I tried to kind of stay optimistic to my sister, telling her that the place is unbelievable. It's huge and super cheap.
Now we know why.
After a while, me and my fiance went into the room where I had that feeling. My sister was in the living room and her husband in the kitchen. My sister then kind of yelled out my fiance's name. So we went to her and her face had gone pale. She then asks if he is joking with her. He asks her what she means. Then she goes on to say that they had a little chat about the room that was right next to the living room. Now she can see that I'm freaked out because it would be impossible for that to have happened because me and my fiance was in one of the bedrooms that is on the opposite side of the apartment. My fiance is not even skeptical. He just doesn't believe in anything of the sort at all. But even he was freaked out now. I then told my fiance, my sister, and her husband that they need to lock up and I'm getting the hell out of there. I dragged my sister with me and I filled her in on what I was feeling in there, and that I ended up calling my mom, which is something I don't typically do for advice or emergencies ever, really. We had a little conversation about it, and it didn't really give me any clarity on the situation. My sister obviously believes it was a spirit or ghost or something like that, and advised me to ask if anyone had died there to the guy that was renting it out. A couple of days later, he rung me and asked how it went. I told him that I'm sorry, but it just wasn't for us. He then asked why, and I really didn't want to sound like an idiot, but he probably thinks I'm crazy now because I told him I just had a really weird feeling in there, and then I asked if someone had died there. He kind of laughed and said that it was weird, but didn't really answer my question. I already sounded pretty crazy, so I ended up not asking again. It had been a little over a year since that happened, and it's something I still think about, and it freaks me out a bit because I cannot explain it. Any ideas on what the hell could have happened? I'm a pretty stable person, but I kind of was thinking I had some sort of mental breakdown or something. But when my sister experienced hearing my fiance when he was on the other side of the apartment with me, that theory kind of fell out the window. I know this story isn't all that crazy or super scary. What? Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Compared to what you hear in other places. But for me, this was honestly something out of a nightmare.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Well, and imagine as a self-proclaimed skeptic, imagine then going in and having that experience. And literally, you can tell the story, but there's no words to explain the feeling you had.
Yeah.
No.
It's simple. Big, beautiful apartment, cheap. Everyone's getting the same thing. The guy can't rent the place, and he's doing whatever he can to rent it cheap, that somebody will deal with it or maybe be immune to it. But it's real.
Ooh.
I mean, but imagine how scary that would be. Like, I'm picturing us, all the homes we've looked at, in the last couple of years. I imagine kind of going through like I do, and I sometimes break off on my own and try to get a sneak peek ahead. And all I can, picture would be you yelling my name from across the place, and I come in there and you are like shaking and and you're like, I don't know, I have to get out of here. Instantly, it would be like, holy F, what is going on? I mean, it would even, and I like in this case how they tried to be totally normal, and we're like, all right, we're gonna see if they feel it too. And then all of a sudden she did too. That's when it's crazy.
Look, I really believe there's something when you pass and you cross over, and there's ones that pass that don't cross over. And, how they died or why they died, what's going on that prevents them from crossing. And look, death is the best kept secret. We don't know really what goes on, but we've certainly had enough experiences with other people that have somehow brought some of this forward, or the secret has escaped of what it is, and we could choose to believe or not believe. And if we really do believe that our energy is endless, that energy doesn't go away, it just moves around, then why can't it be possible that it really is real? We don't know what happens to our spirits and where they really go. The universe is huge. Who knows? Who really, really knows? I just know that we've all experienced too many things.
Yeah, there's no way.
To turn a blind eye to it.
Well, and I guess the biggest lesson here is always tour a potential place you're going to be living at with a partner. Tour it with your partner, because if the fiance had just gone on his own, he'd been like, great, done. I already signed the documents. We have the keys. And then she would have walked in there and been like,
haunted, tortured,
because not everyone senses it.
Yeah, no, and this is definitely a really dark entity here. I mean, for two people to have experiences this close together, back to back, I mean, this is crazy. I can't even imagine that feeling. Like, when I had my paranormal experience, I just was so scared, but I was still able to just it's not real, and go to sleep in that house.
Oh my God, I don't know how you did.
I couldn't.
Especially with the light flicking on and off and the footsteps.
Where was this?
That house in Palm Springs. Don't you remember me calling you?
Yeah.
And I was like, there's someone in here. There was no one there.
And then the roommate was super weird all the time.
It was just so strange. Doors kept unlocking on their own. Really weird. I don't know how he did it. I think it was out of desperation. But like to have this feeling come over you, it feels heavy. And then you just feel utter terror. So much so you start crying
And the sadness
freaking out.
first too.
Yeah.
Out of nowhere. Because you're just happy. You're like, oh my God, we're going to check out a place. There's nothing else seemingly going on.
Someone definitely had a really tragic end there or something.
And then you really want, do they climb within your body? Do they climb in and come within your consciousness?
I think some spirits do attach themselves. Yeah.
You know, and just to break out of the house. Let me climb in you so I can get out of here.
I do see that being a thing for some spirits. But the thing with the sister too, my sister then kind of yelled out my fiance's name. So we went to her and her face had gone pale. She then asked if he is joking with her. He asks her what she means. Then she goes on to say that they had had a little chat about the room that was right next to the living room.
But what made her scared about that chat?
So I'm wondering if she literally saw an apparition of him because it's confusing how it's described here. Like, did your sister see a vision of your fiance?
Right, because what made her pale?
What made her pale?
That's right.
And then you came back into the room and then she's like, wait, you were just next to me. Or was she hearing his voice from like somewhere right next to her and then he walked from a total direction? Either way, nuts. We had a story and it was on the very, very first Two Hot Takes spooky episode we ever did. And it was a story about these guys who were like ghost paranormal hunters and their uncle or someone had recently bought an old hotel and was refinishing it. And he was like, but you know, there's some weird happenings at the hotel. So, you know, if you guys want to check it out before, go ahead. So they go to the hotel and they pull up normal. Hotel looks beautiful. They're kind of confused. They're like, wait, I thought this hotel wasn't finished yet. And they literally like are transported in this beautiful hotel. It's kind of got vibes from like the 40s or 30s or something. They meet a bellhop. They meet, you know, the manager and the manager's kind of like, oh, so-and-so didn't tell me you guys were coming. And all of a sudden the facade dropped or something happened. All of their batteries on their cameras, phones went completely dead, were just drained, went from 100 to 0. And they get outside and they turn back around. And
the place is a mess.
It's a mess. What they saw was totally fake. And so I think there are like certain spirits that like can present themselves
all powerful,
like visions, or I mean, you hear. I don't want to be like. I know you're not supposed to talk about it, so I don't want to open that can of worms. But there's also flesh pedestrians in a lot of Native American lore.
What is a flesh?
You can't really talk about it.
Oh, let's not do it.
But they can morph into people, voices, creatures to lure you out and like hurt you essentially. So you're not, it's like, it's something that's not talked about. So
I wonder if you get a choice. Like, yeah, I'm going to go, not, I think.
When you die?
Just in a happy, like, I'm going to help people spirit. I wonder if you get a choice, like, yeah, you can go float around Earth for a while. Or if you can cross the other side and then visit Earth whenever. I just need to stay up to date on all the scientific discoveries and how far humans make it. I need to be able to see that.
Or are they in the same world as us still? They're just hidden behind a veil.
Or could I finally go fly into a black hole and see what's on the inside? Could I do that?
You'll find out eventually.
We don't know.
Oh, I hope so.
Eventually you will know. One of this week's partners is iHerb. We're all just out here trying to live our best, healthiest lives, which is why I'm so excited to introduce you to iHerb. This is going to be your one-stop shop for anything health and wellness. I mean health and wellness. I have an iron deficiency. I'm also trying to cut out any fragrances or harmful chemicals. iHerb lets me get all of my shopping done in one place and at the best price. Everything I need, from my retinol for my face to my scent-free laundry pods, And you can search by category, brand, ailment. I just typed iron deficiency and I was able to find their amazing California Gold drops. Yeah, drops. I hate taking pills. I have to chew up food and shove the pill in there. It's a mess. They have so many different variations of everything I need. They have over 50,000 products, beauty, nutrition, bath and personal care, grocery, baby, and pets. And my favorite part about iHerb is you know that the products you get are going to be the top quality. And they're not going to be expired. Because have you heard the horror stories about ordering supplements and things from other brands? Not with iHerb. So if you're ready to try it for yourself, our listeners get 22% off their first order when you use code FKS at iHerb.com/shop/FKS. Existing customers receive 15% off. That's 22% off your first order at iHerb.com/shop/FKS. Use promo code FKS. Choose iHerb. Because wellness matters. Okay, number 3.
Number 3.
Hey, Jerry, Morgan, Justin. Thanks so much for what you do. Your advice when I shared my story about my childhood friend was extremely helpful. Today, I have a spooky story that happened to me when I was in high school and that I knew I just had to share. When I was 16, I stayed at a bed and breakfast in Vicksburg, Mississippi with my mom when we were on a road trip. It was a very old pre-Civil War mansion that apparently during the Civil War was used as a hospital for the wounded. As a result, it now has a reputation for being haunted. And when we stayed there, we got a tour from an employee who told us about the history and that there were some ghosts. We stayed in a room that was on the bottom floor and had a nice fireplace in it. In the night, I had a vivid dream where I was at the mansion, but everything looked old, as if it was the 1800s. And in my dream, I awoke inside of the room we were staying in, and I saw a Confederate soldier in his uniform rocking in the rocking chair next to the fireplace. It was a bit gruesome, as he had had his arm or leg blown off, and his face had no skin on it. In my dream, I sat up, and he opened his mouth to speak to me. Before I could hear him, I got woken up in real life by my mom, who said that I was screaming in my sleep. The next morning we woke up and I told her my dream. It wasn't until years later that she told me she had read that that particular room is known for having a Confederate soldier in the rocking chair next to the fireplace with his face blown off. And she didn't want to say anything then to not freak me out. I don't believe in ghosts, but there's no doubt that it was a very spooky experience that I won't forget. My word of advice when staying in a haunted bed and breakfast is to be ready for some weird dreams. Okay.
I think that's really the crazy part is when in both of these stories, this one and the one before it, when it's experienced independently by multiple people, that's when it's
there's no doubt.
Okay.
There's no doubt.
It's not, you can't explain it away. Oh yeah, you were kind of in that mindset. You kind of thought it was haunted. You have a haunted, scary dream. Oh yeah, of course, because your mind was already there. But wait, you had no idea going in, and this room is known for other people having that same experience independently.
Yes, that's the thing. If the mom would have been like, hey, just so you know, our room, the ghost that we usually see is so-and-so. But our writer had no idea.
That's correct.
No idea.
No, there was no priming the subconscious on this one.
No, I definitely think visitation dreams are the most common because it's the easiest we are to access. When you're sleeping, you're vulnerable, you're easy to tap into.
That's where I saw my mom, and I was after I lost her, and I was having conversations with her. It was in my dreams.
Yeah, I definitely think that was that spirit visiting you.
Absolutely.
And it's no wonder he was floating around still. I mean, Confederate and got his face blown off.
Chilling in the rocking chair.
I've mentioned my Uber driver to you before, and she apparently keeps getting harangued by a person that was murdered in one of the Caribbean islands. And she, wanted to go back and go check it out. I mean, she was driving Uber. She couldn't afford it. And I thought to myself, man, maybe it's something we want to take on and go do it. But it would be really interesting because she believes that she can solve the murder.
That's crazy. That's really crazy. You have her number?
I do.
Well, send her a message. Let's see what's up.
Right now?
No. When we're done.
Okay.
It's too late to get her here now.
No, plus she's 3 hours ahead of us. I forget where the hell she was. Maybe,
Oh, wasn't in LA?
it might have been LA.
I think it was LA. Yeah, you take a lot of Ubers, so easy to mix them up. But wow, I got full blown chills with this one. Woo. Okay, moving along.
Rocking forward. We're going to number 4.
Hi, FKS fam.
Hello.
I've been a longtime listener, started with THT,
Hey.
then immediately started listening to FKS when it
Let's go,
first came
baby.
out. You guys make my 45-minute drive to work as a high school teacher so much better. Anyway, when you said you want spooky stories, I felt like this was my chance to submit. I consider myself sensitive to spiritual energy, meaning paranormal activity seems to follow me wherever I go, and it's easy for me to pick up on. This has been happening to me since I was 14. I'm now 25 and have had so many experiences I could write about. I'd probably have 5 separate submissions. However,
Damn.
I'm going to tell you about the time when I had my first ever encounter at the ripe age of 14.
Okay.
When I was 14, I was a babysitter for this one family. They always had me come over on the weekends so the parents could go out on date nights. This family had 2 kids, an older boy and a younger girl. This one particular night, the parents went to a Jimmy Buffett concert, so they got back very late that night. It was around 1 a.m., and this house that they lived in was half the original house, and then they added on to it when they bought it. The original part of the house was over 100 years old, and it was seated on a plot of land that was about 5 or 6 acres. Side note, they had 2 horses that I always got to go out and pet. I figured Morgan would like that.
Yeah.
It is important to know how this house looked. Think of it as a long rectangle split directly in half, with one side being the old side and the other being the new side. The living room sat in the middle of both sides of the house. His family also had a dog. His name was Blackjack, and he was this massive lab mix, probably weighing in about 80 pounds. He would always sleep in his dog bed next to the couch while I watched TV waiting for the parents to come home. However, this night was different. As I was watching TV, I started to hear stomping coming from above me. The only thing that was upstairs was the parents' bedroom, which was on the older side of the house. The stomping would start, then stop, and this happened quite a few times. Each time the stomping would start, Blackjack would perk up and growl. The thing about him was he would never growl. He was the sweetest dog on the planet. I went over to the door after a bit and I noticed that it was locked from the outside. So for peace of mind, I locked it. Looking back on this fact now, I realize how strange it is to lock from the outside. Anyway, things settled down for a bit. I had checked on the kids and they were still sleeping. After checking on the kids, Blackjack jumped up and ran into the old side of the house. And there was a basement on each side, but the basement on the old side of the house is more of a concrete cellar. He ran to the top of the stairs and started barking. Now again, he's a big dog, which means big bark. I ran over and I tried to get him to quiet down because I didn't want him to wake the kids. When I walked over to the top of the stairs, I could swear I saw a shadow, one that looked like the size of a full-grown adult. Me being 14, I panicked and I turned on the lights. Obviously, nothing was there. When I had turned on the lights, Blackjack stopped barking and then licked my hand. We went back into the living room, and instead of him going back into his bed like normal, he laid on my feet, which he had never done before. I was now a little more on edge. Blackjack continued this thing of walking to the old basement, barking, and then having me turn on the light to get him to stop. After about the 3rd time of this, I just kept the lights on. I thought this would get him to stop, and it did for a bit. Then instead of barking at the basement, he went again to the old side of the house and ran to the back door that led out to the pastures where the horses were. They were in the barn for the night, and the back porch light was a motion light. When I went to see what he was barking at, I noticed on the window pane there was a condensation mark and then a handprint in the middle of it.
No.
This is when I started to get absolutely freaked the F out. See, now I would be freaking out thinking there is someone, not a spirit, but I have someone going to break in the house, an axe murderer.
Yeah, you don't know.
Oh, my God.
I grabbed Jack and went back to the couch. And now this time he was sitting on my lap on the couch. As we sat on the couch, he sat at full alert, his first standing up, and he was growling over at the old side of the house. In the old side of the living room, in the corner, there was a rocking chair. I know how cliche a rocking chair is. Well, this rocking chair started to rock on its own.
What the fuck?
I was so unbelievably scared at this point. I was now thankful I had this massive dog sitting on me and protecting me from whatever. Then it froze mid-rock and did not move back to a normal position for what felt like forever. But in reality was maybe a minute max.
Okay, a minute's a long time.
Like just right on the...
What the fuck?
There was no chill for me at this point, and I was counting down the minutes for the parents to return. Later, when the parents got home, I filled them in on everything that had happened that night. After I had told them everything and was very clearly scared, they laughed.
What?
Then they said, "Oh yeah, that happens a lot. Our house is over 100 years old. There's for sure some ghosts in here."
Thanks, you should have filled me in before.
Then they drove me home and I laid awake the rest of the night. And yes, all of this is indeed 100% true, not making anything up or adding in any details. I hope you liked my spooky story.
Okay.
So I got a question.
I'm unwell.
What are these spirits trying to communicate to us?
Get out of my house.
What is their, well, maybe.
No idea.
That's the thing that I want to hear is, what's going on? What's their, what's their end game?
I think it depends on the spirit for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But this one, I don't know. And the fact that the dog was the dog was really on edge.
Was the dog sense.
Was the dog trying to protect her, or was he going to her to protect him?
Honestly, it seems like he was trying to protect the writer.
The way he kept getting closer and never had done that before.
Never for a dog to just sit on your feet and then lay in your lap.
Well, it's also a pack mentality too, a little bit. Like, all right, we're going to stick together. We're going to be close.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wow.
Really crazy. Really crazy. Okay. And that's just one of 4 experiences or 5.
Yeah. What else have you had?
What else do you have?
That was just the first time.
Oh my gosh.
But
I'm blown away.
Speaking of pets being able to sense some of this stuff, this next one involves a very curious cat.
Okay, let's go.
Another one of this week's partners is Paired. Despite being together for 6 years, Paired has actually allowed us to learn more about each other and stuff I never, ever would have guessed about Justin. Paired is an app for couples who want to strengthen their relationships. It was founded on the simple belief that love, real lasting love, is actually a daily practice. And all of Paired's content is backed by experts and relationship therapists. It's proven to work. It's super easy to get started. You just create an account, your partner creates an account, and you pair your apps together. Today, Justin and I have a question. What's a joint project you'd like to start together? But we also have quizzes, repair attempts, a game, going over argument styles, and it makes it possible because it offers such a safe space. You don't see your partner's answer until you both respond. So whether you're just a few dates in or have been together a long time, find the time to connect with your partner and nourish your relationship. With the Paired app, it's easy and fun, and it only takes 5 minutes a day. We have an exclusive deal for our listeners. Get 50% off a subscription by going to paired.com/FKS50. Again, get 50% off if you sign up for a subscription by using our link at paired.com/FKS50 to sign up today.
Hi there, everyone. Longtime listener, first time write-in. Let's get into it. I, 25 female, lived in a home for 13 years that I knew was haunted. I moved away 2 years ago now, but I still tell my main stories to those who are interested. And I know y'all would get a kick out of my stories, but I'll tell my favorite. A little background first. I moved into this house when I was 9 years old. Right away, the first time picking out my bedroom with my parents and brother, I felt as if I was being watched or followed when I left my family's side to explore other parts of the new house.
No.
Fast forward, I'm 20 in this story. Coming home late from my boyfriend's house, I try my best to rush down the hall and into my bathroom next to my bedroom. When I come in, all the lights are off, so I leave them that way as to not wake my parents. My brother no longer lived at home, so I didn't have to worry about him, but my bathroom was directly on the other side of the wall from my parents' bed. I leave the bathroom light off too, and leave the door wide open, since I was about to literally explode from how bad I had to pee. As I sit down, I hear the bells from my cat's collar coming down the hall. He always greets me shortly after I walk in the door, so I waited for him to come rub against my legs as I'm peeing. I can't see down the hall, but I can hear him getting closer until I hear him stop. I make a quiet psst, psst noise to get him to come, but instead he lets out a deep, long hiss. I've had this cat for 4 years and he's never hissed at me or anything else, so this shocks me. But in my head, I'm thinking I must have startled him because it was later than usual. I turn away and face forward, facing the bathtub shower that's directly 1.5 feet in front of my face. Still peeing, I heard my cat hiss once more, and then all of a sudden I get a real uneasy feeling. I try to hurry up and finish peeing, and as I'm about to stand up, the shower curtain in front of me is suddenly dragged from one side of the rod to halfway in the middle.
What?
That would scare the fuck out of me.
And comes to an abrupt stop, as if someone outside or inside was aggressively pulling it open halfway. I stopped dead in my tracks, goosebumps all over my body, the hair on the back of my neck standing up, and a lump in my throat.
And not screaming.
Mm-mm.
I hear my cat run away towards the far end of the hall as the shower curtain rattles once again, like someone is now tugging on the end of the curtain. I wipe and run down the hall, following behind my cat, trying to desperately get my pants up. I open the front door, get outside with my cat, since he's indoor, outdoor anyway, fumbled with my phone for a second and managed to call my boyfriend to come back. I didn't sleep there that night. There was no way to debunk it. The air conditioning could not possibly blow it in such a way that it stopped abruptly and in front of my face.
Mm-mm.
My cat would not even finish coming down the hall. He saw something that I couldn't.
Yeah.
Now I have tons of stories in between that have happened from the time I was 9 till I was 22 that maybe I can write in for other episodes, but this one really haunts me to this day. Whoever they were, they wanted me to know they were in there with me too.
Yeah.
I was never harmed by this ghost or entity. I often thought of him. For some reason, I felt it was a man, as a playful spirit, but obviously, even a ghost playing with you is terrifying.
Yeah.
He every so often would remind me we are not alone in this world in many more ways than we can imagine or see with our eyes.
Oh my God, why are you guys all leaving me on cliffhangers? Just give me all your spooky moments. This is insane.
I think that's one of my biggest fears is, with a bathroom that has a shower curtain.
Mm-hmm.
And I experience one every morning when I wake up or in the middle of the night. And when I go and sit in there, sometimes I don't turn on the light because you also don't want to wake yourself up. And it's just too bright. And I am just like waiting for that classic movie, whatever, horror film thing where something's behind the shower curtain.
So, in my bathroom, I have a shower that's glass,
Mm-hmm.
and my bathtub obviously doesn't have a curtain because it's not a shower. But in Morgan's former bathroom, there used to be a glass door. It broke when she
You watched it happen. It just shattered.
Shattered.
That was weird.
It literally, we just went to open the door and it just shattered.
And we put a curtain up. That curtain's coming down. We're going to get glass door back.
You got to return it with glass, especially after this one.
We're going back to glass.
I mean, this is insane to have it just go open halfway. And then it looks like it's getting pulled from the bottom. I mean, it's crazy to me when spirits can do such physical
yep.
things. This is an example. The story before, the person seeing the handprint on the window, the rocking chair, and then the rocking chair sitting at a position that's not normal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just don't understand when spirits can physically move and mess with things like this. It's so scary to me. So scary to me.
That's probably why we always say a black hole is following us around and our stuff goes missing inexplicably. But Maybe it's
A
just,
spirit?
Yeah, just
Playing
messing
hide
with
and seek
us.
with our shit?
I've always felt that I had 4 angels with me.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Why? Why 4?
Because there's 4 of them.
Because when Jerry tries to start going at a green light and doesn't notice the car blowing the red light, he's got an angel with him. That's named Justin to stop it from happening.
I have definitely had angels protect me. I've had situations that, theoretically.
I mean, that is true because we sometimes don't understand how you get through the day.
I mean, I've lived through some stuff that has been, the airplane, when I was flying over Lake Superior and I lost the prop shaft. I was 6,000 feet, 2 miles over in the middle of Lake Superior, and I'm fine.
That is true.
That's pretty nuts.
That's hard to beat that one.
Flew to Louisville. They vectored me from 9,500 feet down to 2,500 feet, and I lost the engine. I'm fine.
Crazy.
I feel like all of these times are saying, Jerry, don't fly again.
Nah.
God. Okay.
No. By the way,
I'm blown away by these.
but I do have angels.
Yeah. It's interesting, though, that you feel like you have 4.
4 of them.
How do you feel them? How do you sense that there's 4?
Well, first of all, I haven't sensed them in a long time. It's been a while since they've been around.
Uh-oh.
But I used to always think they would just sit on the couch in my room and just
hang out.
Just hang out.
Just in case.
But how did you start feeling there were 4?
I don't know. Don't remember, but there were 4.
Interesting.
That is interesting.
And they're not all guys. I mean, they were, male, female.
Yeah.
It was, kind of like a, 1 of 2 of each.
Do you remember the first instant you felt them?
No. But I know that they were very real.
That's so crazy. I fully believe it. Not crazy and unbelievable or you're nuts.
Look, I was hit by a car when I was 3.
Yeah.
That's when they swooped in. They said, we got to help this guy.
Could be.
He went out into the middle of the street, didn't look both ways. He needs help.
Could be. Don't know when they really showed up, but I mean, they were around. What are you looking up? You're looking up something.
I'm just guardian angels and what it means. I don't know. We're going to have to do more research. But I mean, if there's anyone out there that maybe has some thoughts on Dad's experience with 4, I'd be curious. Put it in the comments.
Do you ever feel like you had angels watching over you?
Not really. I've
Justin?
never directly felt that presence or anything like that, especially not feeling like, oh, I have 4. That's very specific.
You?
I just kind of feel like a pinball in a pinball machine most days. It's bouncing from one thing to the next and
Ping, ping.
things pop up. You get hit from this way and you got to redirect. And
Yeah,
I don't know.
I was never frightened by them at all. That there was never any fear involved. It was only just like they're watching over me.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Very powerful. Okay, moving along to the next one.
Number 6.
That was pretty good. The start of that was
the start was the best one.
It was
yet.
like I see dead people,
But I don't see dead people.
Okay. I'm getting a little freaky over there. Help. Help. Okay. Hi, Dad, Morgan, and Justin. I have a spooky story for you. It may not be as spooky as some, but it definitely creeps me out. We've been renting a house for the last 3 years. When we moved in, my then 3-year-old son would constantly wake up through the night scared to death. When we would ask him what was wrong, he would point to his wardrobe. The wardrobe is a small walk-in with a sliding door. I started making sure that the door was closed every night when I tucked him in, but I would notice that when he would wake up and I would take him back to his room, the wardrobe door would be open. This went on for quite a while. My partner and I would joke about there being a spirit in the house. One day, my son was in his room playing. When I went to check on him, though, I couldn't see him in his room, but I could hear him talking and laughing. He was in his wardrobe with the door closed. When I opened it, I asked him who he was talking to. He told me, quote, "The man who used to live here." It threw me off, and I called my partner in to tell him. It didn't seem to be a nasty spirit, so we let it go. My son would talk and laugh with the man every day, and every night I would hear noises going up the hallway like someone walking. The walking would start at the end of the hallway, stop at my son's room, continue up the hallway towards the lounge room and kitchen. Then there would be some sounds around the kitchen, and the walking would go back down the hallway and what seemed like out the back door. My son is almost 6 now. He no longer plays with the man, but we still hear him every now and then walking through the house and seemingly checking on all of us. We have an inkling that the man who resides with us was the owner who passed away in a nursing home a year before we moved in. We're thankful he's a nice spirit and are happy for him to stay. Those first few weeks where we didn't know exactly what was happening, though, was a little creepy.
Mm-hmm.
I hope you all enjoy reading this, and thank you for reading if you do. Love listening to Father Knows and THT. Thank you for keeping us all entertained, enlightened, and informed. Much love from across the ocean in Australia.
I love Australia.
There is a little bit more of additional info.
Let's hear it.
We recently got a cat, and it seems as though our spirit friend is still around, as our cat will stand in the hallway and seemingly watch the spirit do his nightly walk. I'm glad you're getting good vibes, because I don't know how I would feel with my child inside of their wardrobe playing with the spirit.
Or just the first time screaming and you go in and they just point towards the wardrobe. How like creepy that would be.
Well, and the fact it's going on multiple times, and like you shut the wardrobe before, when you bring him back to his room, and then you find out it's open again.
Well, he has to get out of there somehow.
Why is he in the wardrobe? It's your house, dude. Go pick a chair in the living room.
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
Oh,
well,
I guess he finds solitude in the closet.
I don't know.
It's,
I feel like there's better
it's like Lion the
spots.
Witch in the Wardrobe vibes.
Yeah.
But the thing that's crazy is getting used to hearing someone walk up and down your hallway into the kitchen, grab something, and seems like they go outside. And you just get so used to that, oh yeah, that's just, that's just the spirit.
That's Grandpa Bob.
And then if someone actually broke in and walked down the hallway, you're so desensitized, you just be like, it's a spirit. Until they come in your room and are like, give me all your money.
That's scary. That's the biggest thing that I fear is people breaking in.
Well, yeah, you've recently gotten broken into, so it's a very traumatic, real thing. Yeah. Maybe you need a big dog. German Shepherd.
You need a spirit like this guy coming over and checking in on you,
I'm getting an AI security robot. I'm getting a humanoid. Optimus.
Okay. Well, you'll be one of the first ones to.
Yeah.
All right.
It seems like iRobot. I feel like things are going to go awry with
as soon as that blue light that's on the front of it turns red, see ya.
I'm going to teach. I want him to go practice with nunchucks.
Oh, okay. Perfect. Yeah.
Again, give him more tools to take us over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good thought.
Yeah. Okay.
He's there to protect.
Moving on.
Let's go. Number 7.
When I was around 10, I was making myself a simple lunch in the kitchen. I was facing the microwave and could slightly see the fridge on my right in my peripheral vision. There was just an open space next to the fridge. I saw movement out of the corner of my eye and assumed my sister was trying to jump out and scare me. I said, "I saw you," and kept making my food. I felt a cold hand touch my right shoulder. It felt like icy hot, but just for a split second. I whipped around and no one was there. I looked next to the fridge. No one was there. My sister was watching cartoons in the living room. I cannot explain it to this day. No one was behind me. I remember telling my parents about this after it happened. It was definitely not a dream or anything like that.
Creepy.
Ooh.
Especially telling a spirit, I saw you. You're just inviting more, like, I don't know.
Feeling a cold, clammy ham on me. That's not going to make me very comfortable.
No. That's tough. Any physical stuff, touching, feeling, no.
Well, and the thing that's crazy is when you see stuff out of the peripheral vision or in the reflection of something, it's so easily just, I was just seeing things. People say that. And maybe some of the time you are actually seeing things.
Well, you're a very matter-of-fact kind of guy. You're very, very, about physics. So what's your feeling on all this?
I just want to know.
No. Not what you want to know. What do you really believe? What do you really feel? Do you feel that these stories are just baloney, or do you really feel that there's credibility to this?
Well, I mean, you're the first one to say it's all energy. And, where does energy go and all this?
Mm-hmm.
Energy is very much a scientific
thing. So you're okay with it? I mean,
so I'm just saying, I would want to know why the energy transfers in this way, where the energy and our consciousness and our sense of, free will and our sense of this is who I am. I would want to start to put the whys into that physically, in terms of whether it's chemistry, whether it's some energy, whether it's something in a higher dimension that we have not perceived as humans yet.
So
I would want to know why, because most everything that's physical, non-physical, energy, whatever, in some way can be explained.
Right. But until that explanation, you do believe that this is real.
I don't know.
We'll see if any of these other ones help Justin's thoughts.
I mean, I believe it's real.
I do too. I fully believe there's spirits.
And by your explanation that it's energy, I thought that you would say, yes, I can accept this as being real.
We'll see.
You're not there yet. He's dodging.
He'll have an experience someday, and we
will.
No,
Morgan,
we will see.
Morgan, he will have a lot of experiences.
God. Okay, this next one you can even find it on Google. There is lore about it. Okay. Hey, FCast fam, you asked for a spooky story, and I've got one for you. I, 27 female, went to a small college in upstate New York. The college I went to was notorious for being haunted, and we often had paranormal teams walking across our campus to investigate. One famous legend actually refers to a local cemetery near my college about a woman known as the Lady in the Granite. One of the headstones has a sunspot on it in the shape of a young woman's face. The headstone has even been replaced before, and yet the same exact face reappeared on the new stone. The legend that was told to me my freshman year was that anyone who dared touch the sunspot on the stone was cursed and would wake up the next morning covered in scratches. Naturally, in my senior year, my friends and I traveled to the cemetery late one night in order to see the infamous Lady in the Granite. My friends were all too nervous to touch the stone, so I volunteered to do it.
Nice.
As I was leaning in to place my hand on the stone, a bright white ball of light appeared above our heads. The white light literally lit up the entire sky for about 2 seconds. I kid you not, it looked like the middle of the day for those 2 seconds. Then the white light disappeared and it was dark again. All of my friends and I stood there staring at each other for a few seconds and then bolted back to the car and drove back to campus.
Never touching the stone.
Never touched it. I promise you, we had not been drinking or engaging in any recreational activities that night, so no hallucinations manifested. The next afternoon, we all returned to the gravestone in the light of day to see if there could be any explanation for what we saw. There were no lamps, street lamps, lighthouses, or other sources of light around that we could see to justify what happened to us. Even my one friend, who is a major skeptic, still to this day cannot think of an explanation. To me, I feel like it was a warning light. The light did not seem menacing or dangerous, but more like it had showed up to say, hey, don't do that, as I reached for the stone. Still one of the weirdest things to have ever happened to me.
And I would say, don't go back to the stone and try to touch it. Good choice.
Someone's got to do it though. You could find someone to do it.
Who has done it.
I'm sure
there's people.
That's what I would really more focus on. Anyone that has done it and what happened.
And they saw the light and just didn't care. They didn't get the warning
I
light.
would like to hear the story from the people that have actually touched it, because I'm not looking to go tell anyone else to go do it.
So the lady in the granite is a ghost believed to haunt the gravestone of Matilda Gillette in Lakeview Cemetery in Penn Yan, New York. The outline of her head is said to have mysteriously appeared on the dark granite stone and cannot be removed, even after polishing. They've tried everything to remove this stain. Repeated sanding and polishing, no matter what they do, the likeness always returns.
I wonder what happened to the people who sanded and polished it.
I'm curious if there's been
They
any
touched it.
other people that have had the same experience.
Yeah.
This is the stone, apparently. I think this is like her hair that almost looks like eyes, nose, mouth.
Mm-hmm.
It's very hard to make out, but the fact that it keeps reappearing, same thing, same spot, it is interesting.
It's almost like her head is laying in the casket and propped up.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, there's a whole YouTube video on it. So, I mean, when you see it in this dark version too, it does look like nose, mouth, chin. Very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I just saw a video. It was on TikTok, I guess. Okay, it was probably a while ago now. But it was this guy on a tour, and I couldn't tell where he was, but they were on a waterway or somewhere. And he goes, okay, yep, see that building? So there's a story about that building. It used to belong to this man, and the hospital wanted to buy it to expand, and he refused to sell. He ended up leaving it to his kids under the promise that they would never sell and it would stay a home and blah, 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 blah. Well, guess what happened?
They sold it.
He passed away. Kids sold it. They built a big hospital or some other big building there. And guess whose face is etched on the side of the building?
Papa's.
The man's. They've tried to paint it. They've tried to do all of these things. And the face keeps coming back. And I've tried to Google it and I can't find it. If anyone knows that video or knows the spot, let me know, please.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's it, guys, for
What? No.
That's 7.
No.
Oh, we're going to go on a break.
We are hitting spooky hard this year. Hard. You guys submitted. Justin helped organize. We are hitting it hard.
Number 8.
All right.
All righty.
Hello, Father Knows Something fam. I've never had a reason to submit a story until you guys said you wanted a scary story. Well, I have the perfect one for you.
The perfect one.
For some backstory, I am a 17-year-old female and my parents are divorced. Me and my 16-year-old brother split time with my mom and dad as equally as we can. A few years ago, we lost my dad's dad to a blockage that prevented food from entering his intestines. This caused him to lose weight rapidly, and by the time the doctors caught the blockage, it was too late, and his intestines were too far gone. At the time of this happening, I was 11 years old, and I was too scared of my grandpa to say my goodbyes to him because he just looked like a skeleton. Fast forward to a couple months later, and had an interesting dream. In the dream, I had just gotten done with one of my friend's birthdays, and I was in the driveway of my dad's house when the garage door opened by itself. When the door got all the way up, I saw my grandpa. I ran up to him and gave him the biggest hug I could, but I could feel him breathing like he was alive. I then proceeded to ask him, I thought you died. And he responded with, I was never dead. I will always be here. After this, he led me inside of my house and he sat down and we talked. Unfortunately, I don't remember most of what was said, but at the end of the conversation, he told me, I love you so much. Goodbye, Bug. Bug is a nickname all my family members called me, including him. After this, though, I woke up and I knew it was my grandpa saying the goodbye I had never said to him.
Wow.
Many years later, my dad met a lady, let's call her Hagrid. Hagrid moved into my dad's house within a couple of months of them dating, but she began to complain that something was in the house. My dad, brother, and I chalked this up to my grandpa messing with her because before she moved in, things would go missing or the plug-in air fresheners would be turned on their side. It wasn't anything that would be considered evil, just grandpa playing a funny joke on us. Hagrid continued to complain that something wasn't right with the house. She claimed she heard footsteps, things being slammed, and something was watching her.
Mm-hmm.
None of this my dad, brother, or I experienced. A couple months later, my dad proposed to Hagrid, and things in the house just got worse for her after that. This all came to a head when my dad and Hagrid got married, and they had her family staying in our house. Shortly after they actually got married, Hagrid's mother got attacked by the thing in the house.
What?
There were 3 scratches on her mother's back that were long and deep. This scared my dad and Hagrid enough to where they hired a priest to bless the house, and ever since, Hagrid hasn't complained of any sort of activity.
Wow.
They
Grandpa.
they had it exercised.
Well, what happened to Grandpa, though?
Fast forward to today.
I thought they would just talk to Grandpa and say, hey, leave her alone.
Dad, knock it off.
Fast forward to today, my brother and I are having major issues with Hagrid and my dad. These issues were never a huge deal until a couple months after they got married. Me and my brother do not really go over to my dad's house anymore, and overall things have taken a bad turn. I've reviewed this situation in my head many times because some things just don't add up. I've come up with the following 2 conclusions.
Okay.
1, my grandpa was giving us a warning about Hagrid before my dad married her.
Sure was.
And 2, there was something evil in my dad's house trying to harm us. There's no way of telling what it was, but I would love to hear your takes on this.
I don't know. I guess like maybe there were 2. Like I could see there being 2 spirits because I feel like your grandpa, like twisting an air freshener and being silly, to go from that to scratching.
Yeah.
That doesn't feel like it would be your
not.
grandpa. So maybe it was like him there trying to protect you guys. And then, I don't know, like the exorcism I didn't take and the evil one, I don't know, stuck around. This is a really complicated one.
Yeah.
But
You got me on that one.
I mean, to have physical scratches show up, I don't know, but I don't feel like it would be your grandpa. Like,
Well, let's think about this. I mean, you asked me, and I promise you, I would screw around with you.
I don't want scratches though.
No, not that. Like,
no.
Yeah,
No. Hear me out. So I would do the, turning the fresheners and that. I would do the fun stuff.
yes.
What would piss me off so much that I would have to guard you if I saw somebody that was coming in that was evil? Because I want you to get, I want to give you the message.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's scaring her off or giving you the message that this person is just bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it is interesting that Hagrid was the only one having these interactions.
And everyone else is just chilling.
Because, I mean, if I saw that you guys weren't getting it and she was dangerous, I would do whatever I had to do.
Yeah.
True.
I mean, I think one of the scariest things could be, even if I wasn't seeing it, but if you consistently were talking about, no, there's something in this house.
You would believe me.
Oh, yeah, but I would just be freaked out. I'd be like, all right, moving truck, let's pack our stuff, we out. And then the scariest part, you get to the next place and it keeps happening.
That is my fear. I'm like,
Pick one up and never let go.
if
Damn.
you bought a house that was haunted in such a bad way, like I'm thinking about it right now. Like, what if we get a house and you spend, all your money on it because houses are expensive and you get in there and it is haunted? What do you do?
I mean, hey, maybe my night terrors as a kid where I'd wake up screaming at the top of my lungs and my parents would have to come running in my room.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that's when I was seeing all of this and I just don't remember.
Don't know.
Plausible. Very plausible.
And
Okay.
as far as your, I don't know. I mean, basically, if you have a house that's haunted and you redo part of the house, they just live in the house that's new. I mean, they're within those walls.
Still one house. I mean,
still the same place.
I feel like the grounds were the same grounds.
I mean, the other story with the blackjack dog,
Mm-hmm.
it was all concentrated in the older part of the house.
That's correct.
Which is interesting.
But it wasn't renovated. It was a new addition. So I don't know.
Oh, I need to have a spiritualist come in any house we look at and just be like,
Yeah.
yep, this one's clean. You're
I
good.
know.
Like, I'm genuinely, I'm terrified of ghosts.
Okay. Well, you'll like these two because these two to end us with are more wholesome.
Happy ghosts?
Yes.
Yay.
I think this is like number 9.
Yeah.
Something.
We're setting records here.
We
Jay.
had Ocho. We are definitely setting records. So this is 9.
Yes.
Something.
Number 9.
Hello, THT and FKS family. I'm so happy to be able to share the story with a community that will enjoy hearing it as much as I love sharing it. So to take you way back, to have a good understanding of this backstory.
Way back.
Number 1, my mother died when I was 2. Number 2, this takes place when I was approximately 6 years old. It was an evening, sometime on a summer weekend. Dinner was cooking, the living room TV was blaring, and I decided that TV was boring and I wanted to draw. So off I go, dashing off the couch down the hallway, only to look up from my feet to see a figure that looked oddly like my mother, standing there staring at me with a loving smile and a slight glow behind her. I, of course, froze, not sure how to process what I was seeing. After a moment, she waves at me, and as I awkwardly wave back, I turn on my toes and make a break for it back to the couch. Suddenly, uninterested in coloring. Some time passes, dinner has been eaten, and I had just about forgotten what had happened prior in the evening when I decide I still want to draw. So off I go, headed back to my room once again for the needed supplies. Make sure to keep my eyes up the whole time as to scare away any surprises. Unfortunately, or fortunately, depending on who you ask, as I walk into my room, there she is again. But this time sitting on the edge of my bed, motioning for me to come sit with her. I hesitate but decide to try my luck and see what she wants. Creeping towards the bed, she decides to greet me in a tone just higher than a whisper, saying, "Hi, honey, I missed you. How have you been?" I twirl my thumbs and think for a bit before responding, "I'm good, just finished dinner." She nods while smiling at me and gets up asking me for a hug. I decide to lean in and hope that I don't fall off the bed. Surprisingly, to 6-year-old me, I don't, but instead feel this warm, comforting embrace that just surrounds me entirely before she says one last thing to me. "I love you so much, darling. Please don't ever forget that. I will always be here when you need me. Have fun coloring," before the warm, comfortable feeling starts to disappear and I'm left to process such a complex memory and feelings. It has not happened again since, but I do get a feeling sometimes that I know is her when I'm going through it and just pleading for help in silence.
Oh, that's just a lot.
And I'm unsure if my mom ever stepped inside that specific house, as my grandma does not like talking about her too much.
Look, I experienced, something very similar. The last time I had the visit from my mother to say goodbye. And there's nothing about this that to me is weird or unbelievable. I accept every bit of it because I lived it.
Yeah.
And I understand, the love a mom has, that, it's important that she was able to know that I still missed her. I still thought about her, felt, and she was letting me know that I'm okay now. Jerry, you're okay now. I'm okay. And now I'm going off to my next destination.
Yeah.
And it was weird. It was just a weird experience. It is as real to me as anything in the world. And I could see how this kid will never forget it.
Mm-hmm.
I
would say the line, fortunately or unfortunately, depending on who you ask, I would say fortunately.
Yeah.
I mean,
to
have this experience where
100% fortunate.
I mean, your mom had the energy and to be able to do this
2 times, technically.
I know. And it's just like, I mean, it was such a positive experience. Not like, a spirit manifesting itself as her tried to whisk you away. Like, it was just hey, I love you. I mean,
and I'm here for you.
That's really beautiful. I'm a mess. Oh my God. I'm like, it was so touching.
Yeah.
Because not everyone gets that. And then to know, like, as you said, during your hard times too, you feel her with you. And that is just so special.
Yeah.
So special. Okay, I think we have one last one.
Yes.
I'm like, is it like that one? I'm going to cry again.
Number 10. That was a happy one.
I know. I'm emotional today.
Okay.
Always. I'm like, it must be Shark Week soon. Hi, FKS fam. I know Jerry has spoken about spirits helping to guide him before, so I thought I would share my experience. I was a single mom at the time with 2 young children, and we moved into a new house opposite a cemetery. Not a creepy one, I promise. I noticed that sometimes I would hear little footsteps running down the hallway and thought it was the kids, only to find that they were sound asleep. I would also sometimes wake up to hear, "Mom," as loud as a whisper, but neither of the kids were there. Again, sound asleep. Now, yes, to start with, this would freak me out quite a bit. After a while, however, I started to speak with the presence, as I never felt like it had any intention of hurting any of us. When I would hear footsteps, I would calmly say things like, "That's enough, it's time for sleep." Or if it would wake me up, I would sometimes check on the kids and then say, "Okay, that's enough now, it's not playtime, it's bedtime." Almost treating it like one of my own. One night, my son was a little sick, and this little angel tried twice to wake me up, saying, "Mom," but I just said, "It's sleep time." But then my bed started to shake violently. I said, "Okay, I'm getting up," and my bed stopped instantly. I walked down to check on my kids, and my son was wheezing and said, "I can't breathe." I quickly rushed and helped him with an asthma spray I had. He started to breathe easy again, but I got him checked over and returned home and put to bed. As I hopped into my bed, I said out loud, "Thank you." After this, there were a few times I would get woken up by the ghost, to one of them having a bad dream, etc. I'm not an overly heavy sleeper, but our little angel ghost was always there waking me up to make sure they were safe. When I moved, I must admit I stood there in the empty house and offered our little angel to come with us. Sadly, I haven't felt it here. However, I know in my heart that this little angel maybe saved my son that night. He's 20 now. I will forever be grateful and in this little angel's debt. Not all ghosts are scary. Some are lifesavers.
Great.
That's really good too.
Apparently, I am told we all have angels.
Yeah. I'm so sad it didn't come with you.
Well, we're looking over someone else.
I know. Maybe a new family with little kids went in there. Why is this so sad?
We don't know. Maybe there's a new angel assigned.
I know. It's just so magical because maybe he wouldn't have made it. You don't know. He couldn't breathe.
Yeah. No way to really get up and yell or warn her or anything.
No.
So it was, I mean.
For the bed to shake.
Right.
Violently shake.
Right.
I mean, wow.
And then that to be going on that night. Just, it's crazy.
Guardian angel, man. Whew.
I just thought that last sentence was the perfect way to end this episode.
Not all ghosts are scary. Some are lifesavers. Yeah, that's really, really, really true. Wow, this was a good episode.
Guys, we love when we get to Halloween.
I know. This is really fun.
We get spooky. But we are definitely going to have to think about next year to kick it up a notch. And I really think we need to get a hold of my Uber driver.
I'm like, what do you mean kick it up a notch? I think this is all I can handle.
No. We're going to go up to a whole new level. But I really do. That experience with my Uber driver is so amazing that we got to call her. We got to definitely investigate this to help her
What
out.
if we did the episode from an actually proven haunted place?
I think if I
probably die.
Where doors are slamming and footsteps.
I mean, we tried. We went to the Mission Inn
I know,
in
but
Riverside.
even more so.
I really do believe that this woman has this connection, and I really think we should go check it out.
Do you want to have her bring a Ouija board with her?
Yeah, live Ouija.
No,
you want to do that? Really talk to people?
I want her to do it and go.
But what if she only can do it through a Ouija board?
She never mentioned Ouija. She hears the person.
But what if?
She's supposed to go to the island. That's all I know.
Okay, we'll see. We will see. I really enjoyed this episode. I know that spooky is kind of a rare occurrence. But I would be really curious if you guys would be into like maybe some more story time episodes. Like once a month, we just take all these like positive stories of like you guys taking advice and here's how it worked out, almost like an updates, but even other ones where it's like, hey, I was going through this really shit time. I left. Here's where my life is now.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like a story time episode every once in a while would be good.
There's nothing wrong with branching and doing other things that we come up with, because people that are out there are always open to see what we're doing.
I know.
So I think that with you guys helping, I think we should expand ourselves.
Let's see what we got. Also, we're working on some guests. We're waiting until we get Dad's new setup done, but we do have some guests coming. But this last one made me unable to breathe. I'm like, I just got so congested from crying. So that's all I got. But we're recording some Patreon right now after this. So head on over.
So last night I saw a picture of Grandma Ellen.
Oh, wow.
I found a picture of Grandma Ellen and everyone at the table. So have you ever felt anything from Grandma Ellen?
I had a visitation dream from her shortly after she passed. And in the dream, I was at her funeral and I was walking like up towards the casket. And all of a sudden she sat upright in the casket and just kind of spoke to me just like, I'm okay. Like, I'm okay now. Or something like that.
That would freak me out.
And it just felt, I was really scared. I do remember being scared because, but it was like, I'm okay now. Like, I love you, and then that was it.
You ready for me to pitch something to you?
Oh gosh, what?
Well, this I find interesting. I was thinking about it tonight. Grandma Doris, who was her favorite person in the world?
Mickey Mouse.
Mickey Mouse, undeniably. So when we buried Grandma Doris and I looked down the bottom of the hill, what did I see? Disney Studio Mickey Mouse.
Mm-hmm.
So from where she is laid to rest, if you actually look down the hill, you see Disney Studios.
Did she know that when she was picking her plot?
She didn't pick the plot.
Oh, wow.
We picked the plot
Wow.
and we had no idea.
That's crazy.
It was just weird.
I know. It's kind of crazy that you would pick a plot not knowing, but then literally can see the Pixar animation studios.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. That's some like meant to be universe crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Well, I loved spooky season with you all. We're headed over to Patreon.
We'll see you there.
I'll try not to cry over there.
Good night.
Bye.